Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great summer like I am. Two things today, so I'm going to talk about first this guy here, because I've worn this shirt before and people ask who is it. This is Exodor from Mork and Mindy. I made this shirt myself, just a straight iron on. Possibly as far as I'm concerned, one of the greatest supporting actors. And for Mork and Mindy, if you've never seen Mork and Mindy, it is Robin Williams' first TV show. You could say it's his first. He was originally on Happy Days on an episode playing Mork, and then he was moved, and then they decided to make a TV show out of it. So it lasted 4 years. If you can find it anywhere on any streaming site, they had it on our local TV channel for a while there in the afternoon. And yeah, Exodor was one of my favorite characters. Very, very strange man. Love the guy. So that's first. Secondly, I'm going to put up a link for Bandcamp. I am selling these CDs. I am selling them on Bandcamp. And I'll be honest with you, at the price, I did raise the price up a bit because I was going in the red for shipping them. Shipping in Canada is not cheap, and it's gone up now because of gas prices and all that, so I've had to bring my price up on it. Honestly, I'm making like nothing on these things. I'm just letting you know that now. So today's video, I'm very excited about because I just figured this out. And I was trying to sleep. Of course, my mind is racing, and I came up with this idea of trying to get all the dynamic sounds, or the dynamic sounds that are in the inputs, because you can only do one per input, but trying to get it getting at least 3 for one channel. So let me go over here. So I've kind of expanded the board as far as I can, so you can see this here. Yeah, it looks good. So I'm going to show you track D first of all. Track D is your standard. This is the way you normally see it. Generally you don't have the effects on. I'm going to turn them off here. The level is at 0, 0, which is where it should be. Panning is centered, and the sends are off, and all this stuff. So what I figured out is that what I'm doing right now is I'm using channels A, B, and C, but only C is getting tracked onto a channel, like onto an actual track. It's going to track 3 in this case because I have it assigned to that. But what I have figured out is I can go from A. I can put like on A I have noise suppression at the moment. B I have an exciter just because I wanted to show that it was different. And then C I have the compression on. So I'm using all 3 for one track. Now granted, this means that I'm using 3 inputs to do one track, so it's not technically efficient considering you only have 8, and if you do this twice, even if you just do 2, like you just do the noise reduction and compression, you're now limiting yourself down to 4 tracks. Well, technically not. You can only do this on one thing. So let me go more into this now. So let's talk about this. So the first thing you need to do when you do this is in the assignment area, go to assignment, you can see on the stereo bus here, A and B are both in the stereo bus. Now what that does is that pretty much essentially what that does is if I look at input A now on the mixer, I have the level at 0. That means that all the stuff on here that generally doesn't get used, it's now turned on. It's now when you have it on the when you put on the stereo bus, all this, well, the input is there, but the level, the pan, the send, all this stuff, the EQ and all that, they're now active. They're not active when, well, I don't know about EQ, but I do know about the rest. They're not active unless you are in stereo, unless they're on the stereo bus. And the reason for that is so that you can then control where that input goes. The whole concept behind this was that once you filled up the bottom tracks, and you want it, but you wanted more. If you had a sequencer or something hooked up, this would have been on the older versions when they actually had media on them. Then you could put the extra stuff on these inputs here, run them through the stereo bus, and when you're doing the mix down, you then have an extra 8 tracks. So they would say it was technically 40 tracks, but it's still not 40 tracks as far as I'm concerned, just because these are stereo. That's another story. I don't want to get into that today. So, but what I've done is I have put, as I showed here, A and B are now set up on the stereo bus, so that in the mixer, I'll turn this on in a minute. Right now I don't have the effects on because I want to show you. So that in the mixer, I can do a pre-send here. Yes, it has to be pre because I'm turning the volume all the way down so that it's not coming through the stereo bus. So now you might ask, well, how do you change the level on there? Well, it's quite easy. You go over, you just use your cursors. Can't see them here, so let me just do this for a second. Use the cursors here, and as you can see slightly, it is moving over. So what I'm doing is, let's go back like this, trying to get as little glare as possible. But now I've moved on to the level, and then using the jog data wheel, I can then put it back where it should be, which is at 0. Now, so what you're literally doing is, I'm going to show you one on input. So I'm going to switch to input 1. So input 1, you can see it's got the digital trim. I don't know if I can do digital trim on here. Let's see. No, see, digital trim does not exist on the inputs. So that, don't worry about that. So go back to the input, go back to the track, and yeah, it works the same as a fader. So as you can see, when you push the fader up and down, which I'm doing right now on track 1, it sets it. It shows you where in the digital world it is getting set, and that's very important. So let's go back up to input A. So what I've done is I've sent 127. So I've sent the full signal through the pre. Now what this does is this allows me on this track. So on the input, this is now acting as a track. That's technically what it's doing. It's acting as a track. So it's not technically, it's an input, but this is its mixer right here. So in dynamics, let me go into dynamics. So input A, I want the compressor on. No, I want the noise suppressor on. I don't know why he keeps putting me on there, so I'm going to put it on noise suppression. Turn it on. So now I have noise suppression. I have my guitar sitting here plugged in, ready to go. I have it on with a fuzz on it so that it would make noise, so it would hum. So let me just set that so we can see if we can hear it on the system. So I'm gonna push record on track 3 because that's where it's coming into, and yeah, there you can hear it coming through. It's humming. So let's go back to dynamics. Noise suppression is on, and it's not humming now. So I wanted just to show you that yes, the noise suppression actually works on there. So now if I now let's go to the mixer again. So now we look at track B. So what I've done is, so effects 1 is now we're doing pretty much like a reamp, and it's going into input B. So if I go to input B, you can see I'm not going through the effects 1. I am going through effects 2, and I have the pre going through, and you can see I have everything there. The level is all the way down. Has to be down, otherwise it's going to interfere with your sound. So now, now it's going through effects 2, and I want it to. It's got to be pre again. I know people are like, why do you have pre? Well, in this case, you got to do pre. It's the only way to do this properly, because you can't fiddle with the fader when you're working on it. So so now it's going into track effects 2, and I have on this one. Let's go dynamics. I had it on the exciter, so I'm going to turn the exciter on. So now if I go to track A, I have noise suppression. Input A, I have noise suppression. Input B, exciter. Now then that's going to sound like, let's see. Let's turn it off. And you can tell, well, you can't tell, but I still have the noise suppression, so it's cutting it. So now let's go look back to the mixer, and then input C. Now the thing about input C is this is the one that's getting recorded. So input C is getting recorded, track 3. We can see it there. Sorry about the glare. So there, track 3, you can see it there. It's getting recorded. So go back to the mixer for a second. Now none of this matters because it's not being used in this case. But I can still use the effect. So I can do an insert effect on here if I want. At the moment I'm not going to. Try to get the little better so you can see it. So yeah, that's the one that's getting tracked to. So what I've done is, so B was going to effect send 2, and from effect send 2, I have it going into input C. So input C is now the final, and that's where you've literally been hearing this. It's coming through track 3 through input C. So on input C, let's just go to dynamics on input C. It's always going to show you the last one that it had on, and I want compression on. Now, as you can see, I got full gain. The reason I did that was so when I go, that was just to show you. So now you can hear, like if I go back to A and I turn A off, you can hear the hum because I got input C up so loud. So yeah, that was why I did that. But yes, so you can see how that works. So, and if I go to the board, so you can see input C here, and if I hit it, so it is literally using three inputs. It's using 3 different dynamics to do this. So I can use, I have each one set to a different dynamic. So I'm using all 3 to get that sound. So that's actually quite awesome. So yeah, so you have to switch it to stereo. So what you have to do is, like I said, you set it up. You take your inputs that you're using, the ones that you're going to transfer to another channel or to another input that you're going to do the effect sends through. You put the stereo bus, and then you send it to the effect, put it on pre, bring the volume all the way down on that channel so the level is at 0, so it's not getting transferred through the stereo bus at all. You do that for each one. You can do this on 1 or 2. Now someone asked last time. I got a message that said I didn't see you explaining this, how to do this with existing tracks. And then he went on to explain it. Well, yes, I've done videos on this, and so I'm going to try to put these videos together in a package and kind of different playlists for that kind of reason, because I do, like, you can do this through reamping as well, as I call it, or whatever you want to call it. But the thing is, you'll only be able to do it twice, really. So you have your one effect send will be whatever you originally recorded. It will go into the one input. The one input can then do the effect send 2, and then it can then pull into the second input where you can have a second effect attached to it to do extra dynamics. But yeah, so it can be done. It's very easy. I've talked about this before. So yeah, so that's today's video. I hope this really helps you out. This is possibly one of the weirdest things that I've come across. It was I just happened to think about it. I wonder if I can do this, and I played with it last night, and I was able to do it. So I'm very happy. So once again, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you later. Bye. Century's gone, age is relative to your song. Days go faster until there's none.